Dear friends, today at 5 a.m. Kiev time, the armed forces of Russian Federation launched a war against Ukraine. For the past 13 hours, my country is fighting simultaneous attacks from the east, south, north, and from the air. The Russian armed forces began to bomb the infrastructure on the territory of Ukraine, our airports, warehouses, facilities, and also civilian infrastructure. The missile and bombs struck airfields in Boryspil, Ozerne, Kulbakino, Chuguyev, Kramatorsk, Chernobyevka, as well as other infrastructure of the military forces of Ukraine. Make no mistake, it's not a military operation or whatever it was called yesterday in Donetsk or Lugansk. It's a war against Ukraine. The aggressor carried out invasion in many directions, and the Russian aggression took place within the Lugansk, Chernihiv, Sumy, Kharkiv, Zhytomyr, Kherson, and Odessa regions. Heavy fighting is still taking place in Mariupol, Genichsk, Skadovsk, and Chaplinka. Artillery shelling in the areas and settlements continued along the state border and administrative boundary also of the temporarily occupied territory of Crimea. The aggressor state also used the territory of Belarus to launch an attack. They tried to cross the state border with tanks, armored personnel, and military vehicles, and 4 ballistic missiles have been launched towards Ukraine from the territory of Belarus. According to the latest data, they also attacked some of the hospitals. That was just the information that was out from the Minister of Health. And they also made an attempt to seize the Chernobyl nuclear power station. And the fight is going right there with Ukrainian National Guard protecting the Chernobyl station from the attack. So for the first time since Chernobyl nuclear disaster, after which Ukraine has been protected together with our European and American friends and allies, all the world from another nuclear disaster, we have to defend it again from the Russian forces. Now, Ukraine has activated our right to self-defense in accordance with international law. The combat spirit of Ukrainian military is high. We are fighting, we will be fighting. We, not only our brave and motivated military, but all Ukrainians. We are protecting our home, and we will not stop. The President also speaks to all the leaders and all the leaders of the free world, and we call for everyone to form the anti-Putin coalition to stop Mr. Putin and stop this attack on Ukraine. We're very thankful to President Biden for the immediate statement, which came minutes after Putin's decision to go on this offensive. And we're also thankful to all other allies, to the European allies, to Great Britain, to President Macron, to Prime Minister Johnson, who issued statements in support of Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity. Ukraine already has severed diplomatic relations with Russia. We call on all of our friends and allies to do the same. We also call on international organizations to consider excluding Russia from membership for flagrant violations of international law. Now, we value all the support. We hear all the support. It's very important for us, but it's also time to act. And we call on international community to act immediately. Only our united steps can stop Vladimir Putin and Russian Federation from this attack on Ukraine, from this war, but also from attacking anyone else in the free world. So our partners should immediately enact a package of new sanctions, and we really hope this devastating sanctions will be appropriate for this moment, and Russia will clearly feel that they cannot wage war on an independent sovereign country, because the future of the world order depends on this. So what we ask all of our partners and friends to do now, first, massive sanctions for what Russia did to us in 2014, did to us for the past 8 years, and does now as they waged a full-scale war against Ukraine. Second, all the help our friends and allies can provide us with regard to the defensive capabilities. Our military and every Ukrainian is ready to defend our country. We need help in order to be able to defend our country. And third, humanitarian assistance, because the damages that Russia is inflicting on Ukraine right now are large, and of course the day-to-day life of ordinary people is at risk and is disrupted greatly. Now I would want to finish my statement on saying that just before I came here, we got information from our chief commander that one of the platoons of the 74th motorized brigade from Kemerovska Oblast surrendered, also noting that they didn't know that they were brought to Ukraine to kill Ukrainians, that they thought they were doing something else there. Again, Ukraine is defending our home. We will defend our home, and it's time for all free and democratic nations who value the principles and the territorial integrity and the right of any country for peace to stand together with us, but not only stand together with us, act together with us to stop the war in Europe. Thank you very much, and I will be happy to answer questions.
Ambassador, do you expect or do you hope that the Americans will send U.S. troops to Ukraine?
We know that it's, again, Ukraine since 2008 announced our clear goal to be part of the European and Euro-Atlantic security system. We are extended opportunity partner with NATO, but we are not part of any of the alliances. So we do not expect anyone to fight for us, but we expect all the help and all the response the West can send to us. At the same time, we are also requesting and would appreciate the peacekeeping operations from the peacekeeping-loving countries, the peace-loving countries, and any support that we can get.
Ambassador, Josh Latimer with NBC News. Could you elaborate on what you just said? Did you say that a Russian platoon has now surrendered to the Ukrainian military because they were under the impression they weren't going to be fighting Ukrainians? Are those Russian troops now being detained by Ukraine's military? Are they prisoners of war?
That's the information that we have received from, and it's official announcement from our commander, chief commander of the armed forces, that yes, they have surrendered.
Do you know how many?
And platoon, so I don't know the exact number, but...
Madam Ambassador, Olivia Gazis with CBS News. Intelligence indicates that the Russians have lists. They intend to decapitate the Ukrainian government, and they have lists of targeted individuals that they could assassinate or send to camps. First, is President Zelensky going to stay in Kyiv at this moment? And second, what is the government doing to protect those people that they know the Russians have identified as targets?
Well, if you listen to President Putin's so-called speech before he announced war on Ukraine, and his speech when he recognized so-called DPR and LPR, it's clear to us that, again, it's not about Donetsk or Lugansk, it's not about some of us, it's essentially a declaration that we do not have right to exist. Now, we have existed long before Russia, we exist now, and we definitely will fight for our home. So all the planning and all the preparations are in place in Kyiv. Everyone is in Ukraine. All government, president and others operate fully together with the diplomatic forces and our armed forces, and we all support them. Now, you know that yesterday our president announced the martial law and the parliament supported it. So now all the focus of everything we are doing in Ukraine is to defend our country.
Ambassador Jennifer Hansen with CNN. Have you been briefed on who the U.S. will sanction and what the U.S. will sanction later today? And do you feel that will be enough to punish Russia for what they've done so far?
We expect the announcements soon from the U.S., but from all other friends and allies. We believe it has to be everything. We believe all financial institutions should be sanctioned. We believe Russia should be discontinued from SWIFT. We believe Russia should be discontinued from anything that democratic countries allowed them to be part of. We believe that the diplomatic ties should be severed with Russia. We believe that it's the moment when it's not okay for anyone who values peace to continue business as usual
What
with
if
Russia.
the U.S. doesn't go that far today? What is your message to the president if he doesn't take those actions?
Well, we are positive, given our strategic friendship and relations with the United States and the level of support, that U.S. is with us in this fight.
Ambassador Dimitri set us up with Financial Times. Boris Johnson right now at the G7 is urging his colleagues to cut Russia off from SWIFT. Has the Biden administration given you any indication that they're really willing to go that far? And secondly, could you give us an update on what is the military situation around Kyiv at the moment in terms of how close the Russians are, what they're doing, and how far into the city they may be getting?
On the first question, again, we're talking to all of our friends and allies, and especially with the United States on the sanctions, and we're in close consultations, and we are looking forward to the announcement, which hopefully will be soon, and that the sanctions will be devastating.
But
Now,
are you
yes,
confident on SWIFT?
we believe and we strongly ask everyone to support the discontinuation of SWIFT, disconnecting Russia from SWIFT. On the second question on Kyiv, there is a public information from the chief commander that there has been attacks around Kyiv. I mean, Kyiv is fully in control. But yes, we do have, and we have also captured some of the, and two, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, as of now, helicopters has been shot, the Russian helicopters just outside of Kyiv. There is an ongoing fight in Hostomel airport. This is a civilian airport, by the way, that has been attacked also by Russians. But so the situation is very tense. The attack is ongoing in many areas, and we need all the support, all the additional support we can get from our friends and allies, especially with the defensive anti-air supplies.
Missy Ryan from the Washington Post. Are you aware of any new or specific plans by Russia to cripple or to decapitate the Ukrainian government, and what is the Ukrainian government doing in order to ensure it can continue governing the country?
Well, I can tell you about our plans. We intend to protect our country. We intend to continue fighting, and we intend to protect all the branches of power that we need to be operational in order to effectively defend our country. So I cannot tell you what is in Mr. Putin's mind, because I think until yesterday, even though we knew that there were preparations and even though this escalation started in April 2021, I don't think any normal person would believe that something like this, to this magnitude, will actually be carried out in the 21st century against independent country. So I don't know what the plans are, but I want to assure you that whatever those plans are, we will resist and we will fight and we will defend our country.
Madam Ambassador, Liz Landers with Vice News. You talked about the humanitarian assistance that you are asking for right now. Can you speak to the humanitarian crisis that may ensue? Are you telling Ukrainians that they should stay in the country right now, that women and children who are pictured in subway stations taking shelter from bombs and explosions, should people stay in Ukraine, or should they leave and go into other nearby countries in Europe right now?
We are doing everything that we can under these circumstances to defend our people. We ask people to be prepared, to stay calm, and we ask people to take shelter and act according to all the rules that have been in place in Kiev, so in Ukraine. Again, as we do not know what is going to happen in the next hours, the main focus now for all of us should be how to stop this attack. It's not Ukraine that is adding to the risk of the situation. Russia is the only country that is solely responsible for what is going on. They have attacked us. They have put our civilians at risk right now, and we're doing everything possible to save every life in Ukraine, but also we're doing everything possible to defend our country. So again, as we have the right of self-defense, our chief commander also gave an order to do the maximum possible damage to the enemy as they are on our territory attacking us.
Ambassador, could you respond? Ambassador, could you respond to
Organization, Are you? Can you give us an update? Is there a refugee situation right now, and are there estimates, are there numbers of how bad it may possibly get?
Well, of course, we know that we're trying to help all the people, especially in the areas where the largest combat is. So we're trying to assist the evacuation, especially for children and women, for the civilians, relocating them inside the country and helping in any way possible. And all the Ukrainian services that are activated also by the introduction of the marshal or are working day and night to assist all of them. But you know, their main goal right now is to defend the country. The main goal is to stop the aggression, and while we are doing it, we are also trying to defend every man and woman and child in Ukraine.
Madam Ambassador, Jonathan Landing from Reuters, are you receiving real-time assistance from the United States and other NATO members in the form of intelligence, satellite overhead, battlefield maneuver advice, that kind of thing?
Well, you know, in these times, let me not disclose the details, which we don't want our enemy to know, but I want to say that we're in very close cooperation, and we're working with the United States, but all of our strategic friends and allies.
Ambassador, could you respond to the baseless assertion from the Russian Federation that it's undergoing a denazification of the government in Kyiv?
This is absurd. In 2014, Ukraine has chosen a path again to democracy, and we, with the Revolution of Dignity, we said no to Mr. Yanukovych and his cronies, and we said no to his decision to actually stop our move into the European Union. And we said yes to our European future. So since 2014, Ukraine has been not only reforming itself, but preserving and developing a democracy in Ukraine. We are a country that now have our 6th president, and it's all during the same time that Russia has 1 president. So we are a democratic country. All of our friends and allies can attest that Ukraine is a very accepting community, that actually after the freedoms disappeared in Russia, all of the people, many of the people actually, you know, starting from Radio Free Europe and others, found their home in Ukraine, and especially when they were first forced out from Russia and then forced out from Belarus. So I not only reject those claims, they are completely false, and I know that many people of different nationalities call Ukraine their home, and moreover, many people of different nationalities defend their home in Ukraine right now.
Madam Ambassador, what assurances have you gotten from the U.S. and other allies that military aid will continue, and is that aid complicated by the full-scale invasion?
Of course, it's more difficult than it was before, but it's possible, and that's why we call on all of our friends and allies not only to continue providing us with the military support, defensive support, but also increase it. We need it to defend our country.
Ambassador, how do you expect this to end?
With our victory.
How do you expect this to end? What is going to happen to Ukraine?
It will end with Ukraine winning this, because we are in our home, We are defending our home. We never attacked anyone. Ukraine is a very peaceful country. Even though Russia attacked us in 2014, even though Russia illegally annexed and occupied Crimea and also occupied some parts of Donetsk and Lugansk Oblast, which she occupied them in 2014, and she recently recognized them as the so-called republics. Even though we have all the legal rights to our Crimea and our Donetsk and Lugansk, we never attempted and never had, never started and never intended to return them by military means. And we never planned any advances, military advances there. We always focused only on the diplomatic and political diplomatic solutions. That's why we were so set on making all of the formats, whether we like them or not. But Normandy, Minsk Accords, and all others, we worked day and night in order to find a diplomatic solution. And I would like to remind you that last year, Ukraine has started a Crimean platform, which the inaugural meeting of that Crimea platform was convened when Ukraine celebrated our 30th anniversary of independence in Kiev, and 46 countries actually joined the Crimea platform. And that was a venue and plan how we were going, again, through only peaceful diplomatic measures to restore the territorial integrity of Ukraine. So just to answer this, we were peaceful, we never attacked anyone. It's Russia that attacked us totally unprovoked, and it's a gross violation of international law. Thank you.
Ambassador, where is President Zelensky? Is he still in Ukraine?
Of course. Our president is in Ukraine, and he leads our nation as we now defend our home.
In Kyiv?
I will not answer this question, but of course he is in Ukraine.
There were estimates, Madam Ambassador, that the capital could fall between 48 and 72 hours after a full-scale Russian invasion. Are you confident the capital can hold?
Well, I am positive that we will be able to defend our country if all of our friends and allies will act together with us now. Act on sanctions, act on additional support, and act on all of the assistance that our friends and allies can provide us with. We will defend our country, and we will resist.
Madam Ambassador, do you think if the U.S. had imposed stronger sanctions earlier, it could have deterred Putin?
Well, we are where we are, right? So let's focus on the sanctions that the United States and other countries will impose right now. This is what matters. I think, the message we all together, and the acts, the actual deeds that we all together will do now is what matters.
Madam Ambassador, Courtney Bragg from Wall Street Journal. Thank you for doing this. You mentioned the two Russian helicopters that had been shot down, and you mentioned the platoon that has reportedly surrendered. Can you give us an idea of whether or the level of casualties on the Ukrainian side?
Yes, we have. Let me see what I have. The up-to-date information. Maybe my general has. My information is not really up to date here. I know that as of this morning, we had 40 Ukrainian servicemen and dozens of civilians killed, and we had several dozens of Ukrainians also wounded. But again, I do not have the up-to-date information right now. But all I can say that we will defend our country, and we are not scared. Yes. Oh, and 2 helicopters and 7 aircraft. That's the casualties right now on the Russian side, and several trucks. from what I remember.
President Biden is expected to address the nation soon. Is there anything specific you want to hear from him for you, for the Ukrainian people in this moment?
Well, we have heard already, right after the attack started, a very strong message from President Biden. He reacted right away. So right now we are working together, and we are looking forward to the statements of the actions that we will all take together in sanctions, in additional support, and in everything else. So we look forward to the statement. And again, we would like to ask all of our friends and allies right now to act together with Ukraine and to help us to defend ourselves. Thank you. Thank you very much, and I would be happy to see you again or send you more information as situation evolves. Please pray for Ukraine. We all pray for Ukraine, but also demand justice for our country. Thank you.
Could you please clarify the 2 helicopters and 7 aircraft? Those are, did you say they were Russian?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you very much.
You think you were on camera?